Today I will retell a story from a Dharma video. There is a boy called Joey. He was at school and he was about to surprise his teacher, and the bell rang and he prepared the cupcake with the candle on it. And when his friends came in, he gave the cupcake to his friends. And he turned off the lights. And when the teacher came in, they surprised her. The teacher said thank you and asked who has the idea. And everyone pointed their finger to Joey. And the teacher asked who drew the picture. And everyone said Joey. The teacher said that Joey was really talented, and they started learning. The teacher asked the kids to take out the reading books that she assigned yesterday. And Joey forgot to do it because he doesn't have the book. And his friend beside him said tell him the answer. And Joey said thank you. After when they were studying, the principal was interviewing the new teacher, Mr. Smiley. And Mr. Smiley saw like a jar of cookies and asked the principal if he could eat it. The principal allowed him to eat it, and when he was eating it brutally. And it was so brutal, the principal took the jar away from him. And after that, Mr. Smiley got accepted. And after that, Joey and his friends has a class with Mr. Smiley, the new teacher. Mr. Smiley tell everyone to write his name, and he smelled a pizza, and he asked the janitor for the pizza, and he took the pizza. And after that he told everyone to eat their lunch. Joey never brought his lunch, and his friend gave him a PB&J sandwich, and the teacher said, "You should bring your own lunch, Joey. You couldn't take someone else's lunch." And Joey apologized and gave the sandwich back to his friend. And the teacher said, "For punishment, I would take the sandwich," and he took it away. After that, they all went home, and after that, they all went home. The next day, at Mrs. Stevens' class, Mrs. Steven was giving back their essay, and because Joey did a really good job, she awards him with a piece of Kit Kat. And Joey said thank you to her. And Joey saw Mrs. Stevens' bag and said that the birds in that bag reminds me of my mom. And Mrs. Stevens gave him the bag. And Joey said thank you to Mrs. Stevens and said, And when Mrs. Stephen took something from her car, Joey's friends asked him if he wanted to join them after school because they wanted to play basketball. And Joey said that he has to help his mom after school, and Joey's friend asked him if he could ask his mom if he could play basketball. And Joey dialed the number and called her. Joey didn't actually call his mom's number. He just acted. And he pretended that his mom said he was allowed to play basketball, and after school they play basketball together. After they play basketball, they eat the chocolate that Joey got from Mrs. Stephen, and after that the Joey shared his chocolate with his friends, and after that one of his friends' dad came with pizza, and they shared the pizza. After that, Joey went home, and Joey got scolded by his mom, and he got a punishment, and his mom took a blanket from him and asked him to serve the customers. The next day, at Mr. Smiley's class, Mr. Smiley smelled of food, so he tell everyone to get out because they were about to play a game. And when everyone went out, Mr. Smiley smelled the bags, and the smell was from Joey's bag. It was a pizza. He took Joey's bag with the pizza and everything Joey had to his bag. Joey got the pizza from one of his friends that gave it to him. And after that, it was time for like a audition, and it was actually for Mrs. Stevens' class, and they were waiting for Mrs. Steven when the teacher, Mr. Smiley, came and said that the principal asked him to be the teacher because Mrs. Steven was not in today. And after that, they started the audition. After one boy audition, the teacher said it's time for a break time. And they were all confused because they just started the lesson and it was already break time. And again, Joey got scolded by Mr. Smiley because his friend gave him a lunch, and Mr. Smiley sent Joey home and took the food from him. And when Mrs. Steven came, Mrs. Steven was looking for Joey, but they couldn't find him anywhere. And Then Mrs. Stevens said that she will look for him, and she found Joey on like a restaurant, and she went in. Joey told Mrs. Stevens everything, that his mom passed away and his foster mom telling him to do the dishes and everything, but that didn't feed him, and that and after that Joey's foster mom came in and asked Mrs. Stevens to leave, but Mrs. Stevens said that she would call the police if Joey didn't come with her, and the foster mom allowed Joey to come with her, and Mrs. Stevens did the audition and everyone applauds. Before that, Mr. Smiley already got fired from the job because he steals the kids' lunch. And after that, Mrs. Stevens gave Joey a reward by giving him pizza and Thanksgiving dinner. The foster mom got arrested for child abuse. The end.